What's going on, everybody? My name is Jerome, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Influencers Impact. I just want to thank you guys for your constant support and encouragement on my last video, so please continue to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. For those of you that are new to this channel is filled with interviews with creatives and artists who are making a huge impact in their industry. I'm so excited to share with you my interview with the one and only Dru Bex. You can catch his latest album, Strange Days, Long Nights, linked in the description below. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this video.
Yo, what's good, man?
Hey man, what's going on?
Nothing much, nothing much. Are you hearing me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Yep.
That's good, man. Thank you so much, first off, for having this opportunity to do this with me.
Yeah, no problem, man.
I appreciate it. The man, the myth, the legend, as they say.
Even...
As they say, how you been?
Pretty good. Just I'm still working because my job is considered essential. I work at a group home.
Okay.
So I still gotta go in for a lot of shifts. But aside from that, and just still working on the music. I got some big announcements coming up soon.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's good, man. And you're from Toronto, right?
Yep. Currently residing in pretty much born and raised in Toronto, but I moved to Mississauga. I don't know if you know.
Okay.
Because you're in Canada, right? Where
yeah,
you?
Yeah. I'm actually I'm in Ottawa, but I'm
Ottawa,
moving
okay.
to Cambridge soon. Yeah.
Cambridge, okay, that's dope.
Yeah,
oh, that's like west. That's like west.
Yeah,
right?
it's not too far from Mississauga though.
Yeah, so you're going like from east to west, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But yeah, I just I appreciate you taking the time because I know you're a busy man, and I just wanted to kind of ask a few questions, and if you're comfortable answering, totally go ahead. If you don't want to, just let me know.
All right.
But first question, because I know some people are wondering. I had some people ask me, "What's your favorite sport and why?"
Definitely basketball.
Right.
I hate to be like cliche or something, but basketball. I'm it's just. I grew up watching basketball. I was never, to be honest, I was never a huge sports guy.
Okay.
I was always more the artistic guy.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, when I was in school, I had the height and the build to play sports, but I was drawn more towards like art. So I would get all these coaches and stuff like really pushing me to join the teams and play sports, but I never really gravitated towards that.
Yeah.
But as I got older, that's when I really more developed an appreciation for sports. And of course, with the Raptors doing well and all of that, you know what I mean? Like basketball. I like football too, like American football. That's definitely my second sport. And I can't really, as for the why, I can't really break it down. It's just,
yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I like that. What about hockey? Any interest there?
I'm only like, I force myself to keep tabs on hockey because I feel like it's my patriotic duty.
Yeah.
But but I don't really have any like natural interest in hockey per se. Like.
No, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
That's totally cool, man. Yeah, hockey's definitely my favorite sport. A lot of people wouldn't care that. Basketball is actually third for me.
Okay.
And then second, soccer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Soccer's dope. I just it's not really my thing, but I know they have really passionate fans. And some friends that I have are like super passionate. So, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Thank you for answering. So kind of what introduced you to want to be an artist?
So I've always been drawn towards the arts in general. Like I'm an artistic individual, and that comes through in originally like actual drawing, like graphic art.
Yeah.
And then it also comes through in my barbering because I'm also a barber. So naturally, I'm drawn towards the art. And I remember when it came to, I don't know if I'm going to be answering another question here, but when it came to how I got started in hip hop, it was pretty much a church talent show where they asked us, "Hey, can you guys do a Christmas rap?" And we were like, me and my friend were like, okay, we tried our hands at it, and it was well received. And from there, it was like, all right, I actually got something here. So that's how I really got interested in, or that's how I got started in rapping.
Mm. Oh, that's awesome. I find like I'm kind of like you. I, I was really drawn to the arts, and one of the things I was passionate about was dramatic arts. So I wanted to be an actor before I ever became a pastor.
Okay.
And I always used to dabble in my journal with lyrics, and I never actually pursued music, at least not yet. But
Hmm.
I did find starting off in some way when you get into the arts, your talent starts to grow, your creativity grows, and it kind of draws me to my next question with your songwriting. Like, what's your creative process when it comes to writing music?
So typically, anybody who knows my most popular music, anyways, would know that I'm very melodic, right?
Mm,
So typically, I'll have a concept of what I want to communicate,
mm-hmm,
and then I'll, like, let's say I have like 5 ideas. I want to communicate these 5 things in 5 different songs. I'll go searching for beats, for
mm,
instrumentals, and I'll, like, like, I'll reach out to a producer or something, and I'll get a bunch of beats and I'll listen to them. And if one of them sounds like it's a good canvas for that topic,
yeah.
I'll start applying. The first thing I'll do is I'll start like applying melodies.
Mm,
Actually, before I even pick the topic, I'll start applying melodies and say, okay, what melody am I getting with this beat? And then from there, I'll be like, okay, out of the 5 topics I want to communicate, do any of these topics match this melody and this beat? And that's typically how I've done it.
yeah.
More recently, I've been experimenting with being more lyrical, and with that, I do the opposite. I write first
Mm,
because I'll come up with a certain rhyme scheme, and I don't want to be like, I'll just I'll have the rhyme scheme, I'll write, and then I'll go find a instrumental that matches that rhyme scheme, right?
okay.
Uh, so long and short of it is, when I'm rapping like just straight bars, I'll
Mm,
usually write first. But when I'm doing a more melodic style of music, I'll find the instrumental first.
okay. No, I like that. I do find
Yeah,
sometimes some artists, like, the beat comes into their head and
yeah.
they just make it work. Like, do you create your own beats, or you just get them, like you said, from producers?
Um, I typically I typically have producers that I go to,
Hmm.
but every now and then, even with the producers that I go to, every now and then I'll have something in my head
Yeah.
that I will bring to that producer. Shout out to my engineer Adam, because he's also a producer. So sometimes I'll have a melody in my head. Like, I have a song on my album called the Good Album,
Hmm.
and there's a song on there called Good Troubles.
Okay.
And that song, the beat for that song, was pretty much like, the way that that came out was pretty much exactly, almost note for note, exactly how I had it in my head.
Wow.
And Adam was, because I'm not a musician, like, I'm not able to really like play, like actual instruments.
Hmm.
So Adam was able to take I was able to communicate to him what I had in my head, and he was able to make that beat like almost exactly what I had in my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's legit. So you mentioned before that you're an artist. You work. You said at a group home,
Yeah.
and you're a barber.
Yeah.
So let's say post COVID-19 or pre COVID-19, what does an average day look like for you?
So something else I should mention is I'm also like a husband and a father, so family man.
Okay, there you
Um,
go.
yeah, and that takes up a good chunk of my day when I'm not. So for example, especially pre. Did you say pre COVID-19? Because it's different
Yeah,
now.
yeah, pre or post, whichever one you want to touch on.
Okay, so pre COVID-19, an average day would be. My shifts are all over the place when I work at the group home. So sometimes I work 7 to 3 shifts, for example. Get up, shower, do my thing, go to work, come home.
Mm.
Usually my wife is like, when I come in the door, she'll be like, "Great, you're home. Here's the kids." um, uh, or I would come home, I would get off at 3 and pretty much pick up my kids. I have a 4-year-old, so she's in junior kindergarten, and my son's he's 2 years old. He's in daycare, so I would just pretty much get off work, go pick them up, come home, and I would be with them until my wife got home from work. Then that's when I would have a chance to really, like, in the late evening. That's when I would have a chance to go escape and kind of like work on music.
Yeah.
But I also have to balance time spent working on music with time spent with my wife and my family, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which is challenging. By God's grace, I've been pretty good at putting out consistent content. But that's because my brain works in a very like, I get a lot of ideas. I don't really have to, I don't, my problem, like some artists talk about not being able to come up with enough ideas to put out enough content. For me, it's a matter of, I have so much ideas in my head that I'm just like, how can I possibly get all these ideas out in a timely fashion, right?
Yeah.
So that helps. Yeah, so that helps me a lot with being able to produce a lot of content despite my busy schedule, because I have so much content in my head that I'm like, there's never a shortage.
That's true. And I find like just what you said, how your husband, your father, and then you're tackling all the other parts of you. I find with creatives, there isn't just one thing I find people are good at. There's multiple things. And I know I talk to some of my friends all the time, and they ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said a bunch of stuff. I said I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to be, I think I said a barber one time. I wanted to be an actor, pastor, all these things. And then I got asked that question again. And I'm a husband as well. I'm not a father yet. I'm a pastor. But I also told people I think I'm more than that, because I do personal training, online personal training on the side. Just started a clothing design. And I find like God is shifting me, kind of like what you're saying, to not just one part, but to multiple different creative things that you can do. And I think that's really incredible and encouraging for so many people who kind of want to look up to someone like you, like an artist, and say, okay, how can I be an artist and also be a father and a family person at the same time? Is it possible? Is it not? So shout out to you, man, because that's powerful that you can do all of that but still manage.
I don't want to make it look like it's easy though. Like there's definitely some there's definitely some sacrifices that are made. There's definitely shout out to my boy DJ Standout from RMG. I believe it was today. He just dropped a video that articulates the challenge. Like the video is literally, I watched it and I was like, yo, this is my life, where it's kind of like a cinematic kind of thing where it's him talking to his wife and it's his daughter's birthday and he has to choose between his daughter's birthday and this gig that he booked. And you would think that would be an easy choice, but sometimes you have these commitments and it's like, man, this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. Yeah. And I don't want to miss this. You know what I mean? Like, it's really challenging, man. Like this, shout out to my wife too, because all of this did not come without great sacrifice and some arguments behind closed doors. And you know what I mean? Yeah.
So you kind of touched on a question that I was going to ask. But when it comes to, not really the music industry, but when it comes to putting out content, trying to keep your schedule, trying to manage and balance everything that you can, what do you find helps you the most to stay focused?
I've learned to become more flexible.
Okay.
Because in the past, the way that my mind works is I'm very like, okay, I set a schedule and I like to execute accordingly. But I've learned, and then sometimes, I don't know, something happens with my kid or my wife needs me to do something and it's like, it throws off my schedule. And I used to get really frustrated by that. Yeah. But I've learned to be more flexible and more like, okay, you know what? I was trying to put this thing out on Wednesday, but nobody knows that. So if I put it out on Friday or Monday, it's not really going to make that much of a difference. Yeah. To me, it's like, I wanted to get it out on Wednesday, but it's not like, I just learned to be more flexible, and that allows me to be more productive, because instead of just being like, I missed my deadline, so therefore I'm just going to throw it out. Yeah. I'm able to be like, okay, you know what? Let me push this thing back, and then it actually comes out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
no, that's good, man. I don't know if you have the time to touch on your latest project, Strange Days, Long Nights. So I'm gonna just read what they say this album's about, because I feel it. Like I listened to it a month ago and I listened to it again recently.
Who's they?
And literally, man, it relates a lot to what's going on right now. So I'm just gonna read what they say about your album and then have you talk on it. So it says, This album's about reflecting the fact that so many of us feel like we're living in a scary and uncertain days full of anxiety. For many of us, it seems like we're going through one long sleepless night, but Dru Bex hopes to remind us all that joy comes in the morning. So based on what's going on right now in our world, I find it relates perfectly. Like it really
Yep.
does. How things are scary. No one knows what's going on. Today, one thing might happen. Tomorrow, it's the complete opposite. Kind of tell me, how did this album come together? Like, how'd you be able to make it work?
I definitely felt like sorry, I'm just shouting somebody out here. Just,
Yeah, no worries, man.
I definitely felt like I had just
I
finished
think I
reading the
lost.
Bible.
Oh, there you go.
Like I read the Bible from January 1st, 2019. Sorry, yeah, January 1st to December 31st. I read the whole thing. And even and during that time, even you know, I was doing the final touches on the album, whatever, and I just felt like something was gonna happen. I don't want to be that guy that says, "Oh, I knew this was gonna happen." I didn't know how
Yeah.
it was gonna happen, but I just knew that we were coming up to. I know we're in the last days. And when I say last days, I don't necessarily mean like next week or next year. It could be 100 years from now, but we're definitely
Right.
we've been, yeah, we've been in the last days, right?
Mhm.
And I just feel like we've lost that sense of emergency. We've lost that sense of urgency that, look, we need to really get back to God, and be aware. Like the first track, for example, on that album, or I guess technically it's the second track, called Strange Days, featuring Paris Carriz. I say, I know that these are strange days. What do I say? I gotta, what do I say? I say basically we gotta keep calm and stay saved, right? So it's like, that's the mentality that I live by. It's kind of like there's so much strangeness going around me, and
Yeah.
I know there's gonna be more.
Yeah.
Like one thing that I would see was 2018, I believe it was, where there was like a lot of celebrity deaths and so on, and people were like, "Oh man, I can't wait for 2019 or 2000. It might have been 2017, 18, but whatever the case, they were like, I can't wait for the next year." And in my head, I was like, well, why are you guys assuming that the next year is going to get better?
Right. Yeah.
You have to be prepared that things are only going to get stranger and weirder, and you have to be solid and stand on your faith and stand on the rock, the solid rock, because that's the only thing that is guaranteed to be solid. You know what I mean? So I've kind of adapted that mentality, and when I was making the album, that's kind of what I wanted to convey, that we're living in strange times where anything can happen. But the one thing that we can depend on is God and his word. That will never change. Regardless of all the changes and all the things that happen in the world, that will never change. So that's kind of where I was at when I was creating that project.
Dude, that's straight fire, man. Thank you so much for sharing and even being open. Because like you said, I know people right away. I don't know, maybe you saw online. People are straight up saying, "I can't wait for 2021," because
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of 2020. And it's like it just got started, and just like you said, the moment things go bad, people like to peace out. And I find as Christians sometimes we get caught up in that, where when things are going good, we thank God and we worship Him and we acknowledge Him. Sorry, when things are going bad, we cry out to Him, and then when things are going good, we kind of push it away. Well, God, thank you. I deserve this. It's all me. And I find the world's kind of going through that, where when life was going normal, they're just living life, doing what they got to do. And the moment something comes to interrupt them, something strange happens, it's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Everything's changing. The world's dying. And it's like, no, it's just a different thing that's happening that we just have to walk through. And like you said, you know, we just got to literally stay safe and do the best that we can. But you mentioned also that, you know, your relationship with God kind of helped gear you towards where you are right now. How important have you found your relationship with God in the midst of what's happening right now in the world?
Well, like I said, there's a lot of fear going around. And for me, I try to focus on, for example, there's a lot of conspiracy theories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I have my theories and I have my little ideas about what's going on. But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I can't control those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to, even if there is some kind of conspiracy, whatever, I'm not, like, what am I going to do? Right. So for me, it's
Yeah.
about focusing, for me, it's about focusing on God and what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps me level-headed, to
Yeah.
say the least. Like that's what keeps me focused and able to get through each day,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that regardless of what happens, if we're going to be in lockdown for another year or two, I don't know if we're going to, who knows what's going to happen, right?
That's right. That's right.
But just having that solid foundation and that hiding place. Like, some people say, oh, Christianity is a crutch, it's a whatever, but I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take that crutch if it's gonna help me, you know, or the way that God, like Jehovah's a rock, right? Like, you can hide
Yeah.
under. Like, I'll take that hiding spot because I know I can be secure,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's kind of what helps me get through each day, knowing that no matter what happens, even if I die, really, like, my soul is
Yeah.
secure. Of course, I try to take care of my household and make sure that they're good too, spiritually, and just, you know, that they're protected.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much what gets me through. Just my
Yeah.
faith.
And I think it's so important because the Bible talks about faith over fear, and
Hmm.
a lot of times it's so simple or so easy for us to allow the fear to creep in. And I've talked to so many people where they would say, Jerome, I'm just so fearful, like I'm afraid of everything. I feel like I'm not a Christian, and I have to tell them, look, we're allowed to have fear. We're just not supposed to let fear condone us and take over our lives.
Hmm.
And there's moments I'm afraid all the time. I'll get up and preach, and it doesn't get easier because it's God's word, and I always need to make sure it's God speaking through me, not just me. And I get afraid, and I'm just like, God, I just need some faith to keep going, because I know right now it has nothing to do with me, it has everything to do with you. And I think with what we're dealing with today in the world, that we just have to, as Christians, just continue to remain to the best of our ability as calm as we can, and just know God's got it. And like you said, if we're quarantined or stuck in our homes for another year, at least we can say we kind of handled this to the best of our ability. And then we don't want to look back and be like, oh wow, I messed up bad, I should have did this better or did this different. So that's real, man. So thank you for touching on that. What would you say to those that are watching, to those that want to be a rapper or want to produce music? What would you say to them to encourage that person who's probably feeling like they can't do it, they don't know where to start? What would you say to that person?
Well, I would say it all starts with, um, do you feel, do you want to be a rapper or an artist because you have to understand your why, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For some, it is simply that they want to minister and they want to communicate to a certain demographic, and they feel like hip hop is the best way. But at the same time, even if that's your heart and you want to do it, and you can't put two words together and you can't put two notes together and
Yeah.
whatever, then you may have to be realistic and be like, all right, Lord, is this really what you want me to do, right? Or how you want me to do it. So you have to be realistic about your calling and your gifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been affirmed in your gifting, if people are saying, and I don't just mean like your mom and dad and whatever, but I mean, that's a start. But if people are
Yeah.
saying, look, you got something here, you're a great communicator, you're great at this thing, then it's just a matter of continuing to invest in that ability. Like,
Mm-hmm.
spend money. Don't be afraid to do what you got to do, to travel to the things that you have to travel to go to become a part of the Christian hip hop community, to
Mm-hmm.
become a part of whatever community it is that you want to be a part of, right? Like, don't be
Yeah.
afraid to invest in yourself. Bet the bag, as they say, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's actually better than that, because we have God behind us, right? So we're moving in faith. We're not just moving in some arbitrary, like, oh, I'm making a bet. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, if you really got the go ahead, like, you feel like, I got the talent, and I've got the desire,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm doing is gonna bring glory to God, that's like the trifecta right there for me. Like if those three things align, like you have the ability, you have the desire,
Yeah.
and what you're doing will bring glory to God. If those three things align, I
Mhm.
think that's a great start just to continue building and just learning and go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Invest in your craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, man. And I think sometimes too, like just like you said, um, people ask, how do I start? Where do I go? And a lot of times the answer is just like you said, just start and
Yeah.
invest in your craft. The best time is any time really to just start, do trial and error, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work, kind of like you said earlier, if you have a hard time putting lyrics together, maybe you got to pray and say, okay, God, is this what I want to do? Am I getting caught up in the hype because everyone else is doing it?
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's like you said, it's a calling and it's a gift at the same time. Where when you read the Bible, it talks about all the gifts that God allows people to have, and not everyone gets the same gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But there's opportunity for us to receive at least one of them, and then to harness that and to grow in that. Now, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if what you're doing right now was everything you dreamed when you were a little kid, but what are some dreams and goals that you had, and some that you have now that are probably a little different than some of the stuff you thought of when you were younger?
Um, as I think when I started, I had a pure heart
Mm-hmm.
to minister the gospel.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle, I got caught up in the hype. I can
Mm-hmm.
admit that.
Yeah.
And I was trying to, yeah, I want to minister the gospel, but I also want to get signed to this label, and I want to have this amount of followers, and I want to have this amount of this and that, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
be associated with these people, and so on and so on. Um, and then as I got a little bit older, and as I got a little more deeper into the community,
Yeah.
and I got to see behind the scenes and behind the curtain a little bit, and I realized that some things aren't what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are not as pure as I thought. Some things are not
Mm-hmm.
as just, you know what I mean? Some motives are not as pure as I thought, and so
Yeah.
on. And I began to kind of that kind of allowed me to get back to my first goal of just, you know what, man, this is about just reaching the lost.
Yeah.
I try to put like my newer content. I've been trying to put more gospel in it. I've always had the gospel element, but I've been trying to put more of the actual good news in it. Um, and people appreciate that. Even in the world, here's the thing: once I started doing that, once I
Mm-hmm.
started focusing on God
Yeah.
in my lyrics, I began to get more mainstream attention and more attention in general because people recognize when you're being authentic.
That's right.
So even if you're saying something that they don't necessarily believe, they say, you know what? They see that, okay, this guy's authentic, and
Yeah.
I can respect that, and I can get behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd rather listen to you and mess with you when you're being authentic than if you're
Yeah.
trying to sound like them and mask your mission and mask your lyrics and whatever. Then they feel like, okay, why would I listen to this?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a watered down version of what I can listen to in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good, man. Um, you have a song on your latest album called No Treadmill, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a banger for me. Because in the song it says, I think you're the one saying it. We won't come this far just to come this far.
Yep.
Touch on that if you will, just like what that means for people who probably don't understand. Um, we didn't come this far just to come this far.
Um, I was trying to create I like creating anthems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was just trying to like my goal with this music thing is to encourage people. I want them to listen to my music and feel invigorated and feel refreshed.
Yeah.
Um, and I started to notice the more songs I made like that, I started to notice that I had a lot of athletes reposting my stuff and so on.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I get it. This is my niche. This is my calling. My calling is to make stuff that encourages people to be a better version of themselves
Mm-hmm.
and to keep going. So that song, No Treadmill, same thing with No Exit. Like a lot of my songs are kind of, yeah, a lot of my songs kind of take that theme of like, look, go hard, don't give up on yourself because God hasn't given up on you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So that was just another one of those where I was kind of just like, where I was just kind of like, okay, I'm going to create a song that encourages people to keep going.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And the name No Treadmill was just a random name. I was talking to Kid Tris and Not Clyde, who are on the track, and we were just trying to think of a name that kind of encompassed the song or the theme of the song. And it was actually Not Clyde. He says that in one of his lyrics, No Treadmill. So I was like, you know what? That's going to be the title. And we were like, all right.
I like that because I was gonna ask you. I'm like, so why was it called that? Because I remember when I was first listening to the track, I'm like, all right, he's gonna talk about maybe running the race well. He's gonna talk about something to do with athleticism or your ability. And then I'm listening to it, I'm like, hey, I love the song. It's encouraging. But why is it called No Treadmill? I need to know.
Well, to break it down a little bit more, essentially, you think of a treadmill, right? You're running and doing the most, but you ain't going nowhere. Right? Like you're running in one place. So you're expending all this energy. I mean, in reality, a treadmill is good because you know, like it's good exercise. Yeah. But just in the framework of what I was trying to convey, I was trying to say no treadmill as in no running in place and not going anywhere. You're trying to to go somewhere. Like we're trying to go somewhere. You know what I mean? So that's what no treadmill means. It means like just like, nah, we're actually running to get somewhere. We're not just running in place. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's good. Yeah, thank you for clearing that up because now I'm gonna listen to it not differently, but now my eyes are gonna be open to what you're actually saying. Last question because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But before I ask again, I do really appreciate you taking the time for me to have this conversation with you. It means a lot, and I do hope that things just keep going for you, man. I really do.
Thanks.
I do hope maybe, I don't know what it's going to look like, but if we get out of here, out of this quarantine thing, I'll hit you up and hang out or something. I might need a haircut. We'll see.
Hey man, I've been to Ottawa only like twice in my life, and it's not that far away. So I would love to come out there and just, you know what I mean, like, just
Well, I'm actually coming up your way because I'm moving.
That's right. That's right.
The month.
Caledon.
Cambridge.
Cambridge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll connect at some point once this is all over. Last question I got. You kind of touched on it. You hinted about it. But what's next for you? Like what you got a project coming out? I don't know what you can say or not say. What's next for you?
I mean, I haven't made any announcements yet, but I will say that I do have I've put this out there already. I don't know how many people caught it. Yeah. But I'll say it right here. My next project, which is coming out sooner than people think, is a collaborative album with another artist that I really, really like and respect. Okay. So we're like 70%, maybe 60% finished that. So that's going to be and that's probably my most ambitious, most creative project that I've ever been a part of, including my own. So I'm really excited for that project to come out. That's going to drop sometime soon enough. Yeah. Okay. And aside from that, I plan on dropping some solo singles. I have another one with On Beat Music, OB. He's over here now. He's in Canada now.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, he moved because he actually married a high school friend of mine. So he's living in Fort Erie. So me and him have a song coming out that I should be finishing up today. Actually, I'm going to be recording it when I pretty much get off the phone with you, the live with you, and then pretty much that's it. Just more singles, more project, like one project for the year. That's the only one I have lined up for the year, but a lot more singles. That's it,
dude. I'm excited. I'll be praying for you, man. Praying for your family.
Thank you.
I know again during this time things can get crazy, but you got this. Keep going, and I'm excited to see what comes out of this when you look back 10 years and be like, wow, 2030. Look at all that God has done. Never thought. I'm sure when you were a little boy, you probably never thought you'd get to where you're at now. And you mentioned that in some of your songs. Looking where you came from, looking where you're at now. So I just want to encourage you, keep going strong. You got this, man, and I'm praying for you. I really am.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, for real.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
honestly, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care. Peace.
All right. Peace.